You are allowed to lie down. Please lie down. Please lie down on your back. Oh, the relief in the room. It could be going anywhere, of course. But relax on your back. Let yourself rest in the floor. Okay. And sense your contact with the floor. The parts of you that are resting, making contact, the parts of you that are still lifted away from the floor. How much space do you take up? Do you have a sense of the volume of your right leg, your left leg, and your right arm, and your left arm? What about your head? And you have a sense of the volume, the shape, the depth and the width and the length of your trunk, your torso. What would the widest part of your torso be? And the deepest part, the biggest distance between the front of you and the back of you? And then pay attention to your breathing. And whatever you notice about that, there's a lot of things to pay attention to be aware of. There's the parts of you that move as you breathe. The amount of air that you feel that you're taking in and letting out. There's the rhythm of your breathing. How long does it take to breathe in, and how long does it take to breathe out? Is there any effort in your breathing? Does it feel like you have to work somewhere to let your air come in, or for the air to come out? So could you bend your knees up, have your feet standing, and find a place for your feet and your legs that allow your pelvis to find a position where you can just rest very comfortably. And sense how that changes the contact with the floor, but maybe it also changes something in your breathing. And could you start to focus on your out breath? So start to focus on your out, the way the air comes out. And bring your hands to rest on your belly. And bring your hands to your middle or your upper belly. You can move your hands around as we go, but it really will give you more of a sense of what's happening. And start to breathe out by pulling your belly in. So you're going to breathe out through your nose by pulling your belly in. And make it, so just sense that first. How can this pulling in of your belly, pulling in of your abdomen, help you to take air out through your nose? So it's an active contraction of those muscles. And then start to do that a little more forcefully. Now, Feldenkrais says powerfully, and I was going hell for leather with this. So an appropriate amount of force to be able to push the air out through your nose quickly. So just out, out, out. Don't worry about the in-breath at all. Just focus on your out-breath. So push and let go, push and let go. And sense the movement of your belly pulling in as you do that. Think about your upper belly rather than your lower belly. That's it. And see if you can start to make that more continuous. So you breathe out and then out and out and out. Don't worry about the in-breath, that will happen. And as you do that, what happens to your ribs? How can your ribs adjust to let your belly push your diaphragm up? You can try a few different things, but the idea is that as your abdominals contract, that they're pushing your diaphragm up. How do you make room for your diaphragm to come up into your chest? And as you play with this, and there's a lot of experimenting and playing around and trying to figure this out. As you do that, just notice whether you start to, or whether you are already adding a whole lot of extra stuff in there. So what's happening in your low back, in your neck, in your shoulders? Can you let all of those parts of you be resting? They don't need to come in and help here. We're trying to get this just from your belly. This feeling that as you pull your belly in strongly enough to push the air out through your nose, that your rib cage will allow that to happen. Should hear a whole lot of little steam engines going. That's it. So you can try a couple of options. What would happen if your ribs came down as you pull in your upper belly? Does that allow your diaphragm to go upwards? Or try another option, that your ribs could come upwards and outwards. And see if that's any easier. It's a weird kind of thing. As you breathe out, as you blow the air out quickly, short, sharp out breaths through your nose. That's it. And then let it go. Have a little rest. Let your legs down long and see if anything feels different there for you. So it's quite a different way of breathing than probably what you're doing when you come to rest. So as you let your legs out and you just allow yourself to breathe in this easy way without forcing anything and pushing anything, just letting your breathing pattern continue. So we're using the movements of your belly and your chest are quite different. So bring your knees up again. And continue the same idea. So just pushing with your belly, pulling your belly in to push your diaphragm up. Let your ribs be as soft as possible to let that happen. And your sternum. And just focus on the out breath, breathing out quickly, short, quick breaths with this force from your belly, from your upper, middle belly, pushing your diaphragm up and allowing the in-breath just to take care of itself. And if you start to do this push and let go, push and let go, push and let go, just keep it going continuously, you'll find that the in-breath starts to just happen without you needing to worry about it. So why would we be thinking about doing this kind of a thing? Our breathing patterns are so ingrained, so much related to habit. And then all the movements we do in our trunk need to somehow fit in around what we've developed in terms of breathing. So just keep playing with this, keep doing it, and feel, can your ribs start to find a way to lift, to open as you pull your belly in? Can your sternum feel that it can be lifted a little bit by the force of that pulling in of your belly? Let you just check if your neck is wanting to help. I can see a few people arching your neck. So just let your neck be soft. Do it from your belly. You can have you put your hands wherever you like, on your belly, on your ribs, to really feel, to explore for yourself how this pulling in of your stomach can push the air out through your nose, and just find a rhythm of breathing out, breathing out, breathing out. That's it. So I love, this is Feldenkrais's description of what happens after pushing your diaphragm up powerfully. Then your diaphragm stops efforting and your lungs fall to the floor and air comes in before it's necessary to do anything. So can you imagine after each of those pushing the air out that your diaphragm can just allow the air to come in again without having to think, without having to spend time on that in-breath, to just be able to go straight to the next out-breath. Okay, let go of that. Have a little rest. And see, as you're resting now, what's the rhythm of your breathing? How long is your out-breath compared to your in-breath? Does it feel like that's changing at all? So maybe you can think of some situations where the control of your out-breath becomes more important than having a deep, long in-breath. So when you're talking, when you're singing, maybe when you're teaching ATM, there's something about being able to control your breath on the outward movement and just allowing your breath to come in very easily and quickly to allow you to do the next out breath. Bend your knees up again. Feet standing. And this time, could you put bring your hands, your fingers to your low belly. So down below your belly button, somewhere in between the two sides of your pelvis, between your iliac crests. And this time, can you push your lower belly out and down? So it's as if you're kind of directing this belly forwards and down, as if it's going towards your knees. So just see if you can feel that you could push that out somehow. That there's something coming under your fingers that would push outwards into your fingers. And if you can do that, start to do a quick, more powerful push and see if you can have the same idea of pushing the air out through your nose with this movement of your lower belly. So now it's an outward push down low in your belly that pushes the air out through your nose. So you could do this in a way that your lower back lifts, yeah? So as you push your belly forwards and down like this, you might find that your pelvis rolls and your lower back lifts. That's one way to do it. But you could also do it so that your pelvis stays where it is, your lower back doesn't lift, and you feel that outward push of your lower belly actually expands you all the way around so that you don't need to lift from your back from the floor. So just keep experimenting, keep feeling with your fingers, play with this idea that this forwards, downwards push, this activation of your lower belly can push the air out through your nose. And that it's not contracting your whole belly, but really, really down low. Now I have to fess up now that it took me a long time to get this. Lots of trial and error. So just keep playing. Have your fingers there, really sense, are you doing what you think you're doing? And what happens with this organisation of your belly? How do your ribs respond? So when you push out and out and out through your nose, what happens now in your ribs? So make it a short, sharp out breath. That's it. And feel your ribs going up, or are they coming down now? And is it possible, as you get a little clearer about this low part of your belly doing this movement, that you don't need to work, you don't need to add on effort in your shoulders, in your neck, in your back, that the rest of you is connected to this but not having to work, to effort. That's really clearly related to your breath, your abdomen, your diaphragm, your ribs, your abdominals, that whole cylinder of your trunk. Let it go, have a rest again. And as we go through this, you can rest and play at your own level. But as you let your legs down and allow your breathing to find an easy rhythm again, just notice whether anything's changing. Sense the effort of breathing in, the effort of breathing out, the length of breathing in, the length of breathing out. How you're resting on the floor. Is there anything else shifting, changing? So Feldenkrais talks a lot about singers and actors who need to sustain a long, controlled out-breath to carry their voice. Without needing a big in-breath, a big long time for an in-breath before continuing. So this focus on your out-breath and how we create some power and some control around the out-breath is really useful for anything to do with voice. And as you're teaching your ATMs, you might find that this can be a really useful thing to play around with. I know for some of you, this idea of being able to project your voice to be clear without feeling like you're shouting can be a bit of a challenge. So come back onto your back with your knees up, your feet standing, and this time we're going to alternate these two different ways of pushing your breath out. So we still have the idea that you're breathing out, breathing out, breathing out, breathing out. Let the in-breath take care of itself. But once push out with your low belly, and the next time pull in with your upper belly, so that you're alternating. And this can feel, to start with, it can feel a bit like patting your head and rubbing your belly, but see how you go with that. I think it's easier if you put your hands on your belly on these two different places so that you can be clear about what you're doing. You're getting feedback from your hands, but it's up to you. So with your legs in that position, your feet supporting the weight of your legs, your hips free. Feel what it's like to breathe out with your low belly, and then the next time breathe out with your upper, by pulling in your upper belly. It's a little bit like the seesaw breathing, but each time you're breathing out at that same rate. Out, 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 quick. That's it. So you get that feeling that each movement of your belly is pushing the air out through your nose. So how is each way different? Apart from that we're using one part of the belly and the other part of the belly, that one's pushing out, one's pulling in. What else is different? How do your ribs respond? How does your rib cage, your rib basket respond to this. These two different ways of pushing the air out, one way and then the other way. And see if you can find a way to make that rhythmical, this out-breath, 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 out-breath through your nose. You can go a little slower till you get the feeling of these two different organisations, and then start to find a way for that to be quick, strong out-breaths. And you might find that that in-breath starts to just happen without you noticing. I'll make the sound effects for you. That's it. And when you've had enough, let your legs down, have another little rest. Is anything changing with your contact with the floor? And what do you notice about your breathing, about the rhythm of your breathing? The rate of your inhale, the rate of your exhale. So Feldenkrais talks about that singers need a ratio of 1 to 30 or 1 to 40, that they need this very long out-breath and a very quick in-breath. I don't know if we've got any singers here, but it's amazing somehow how long you can sustain an out-breath if you're organised through your middle. And, you know, anyone who's heard babies yelling for a long time, they can manage to do that long out-breath, carrying their voice without doing any damage. They don't end up with a sore throat. They don't end up, sadly, losing their voices. I can say that as a mother. Because they know how to organise through the middle, through all of this complex organisation of abdominals and diaphragm and intercostal muscles. And so now, could you roll onto your side? Whichever side's easiest for you. We're going to do both sides. So go to whichever side you like. Onto your side. And bring your knees up maybe a little closer to your chest than you might normally, so that you're actually a little bit flexed. And bring your underneath hand, your underneath arm, to support your head. So that your hand is actually under your head, sorry, I should say. And your other hand, your other arm is wherever it's comfortable. So you've got your head, the side of your head resting onto your underneath hand, your elbow bent. So you're a little bit curled. Your head's forwards a bit, your knees are up a little bit. And in that position, can you start to play around with these two different, well, let's do one at a time. So start to, and bring your hands to your belly so you can find it. So your upper belly first. So this feeling of pulling in your upper belly to push the air out through your nose. So what changes when you're on your side? So you're still doing quick, strong exhalations by pulling your belly in. And as you do that, really use your hands, sense what's happening. Can you feel that there might be a difference between how the muscles work on the right side of your belly and how the muscles work on the left side of your belly? And can you feel maybe one side is more efficient or more active here? So you're a little bit curled, a little bit flexed. Just notice whether your head is a little forwards, a little rounded, your knees are up a bit. That's it. And really keep that continuously pushing out. Not so strongly that you're going to be sore after this, but so that you really can feel that it's the power of your belly that's pushing the air out through your nose. So you can hear that breath being pushed out. You can feel your ribs responding, your sternum. And rest for a little bit. That's it. Stay on your side if you're comfortable there, but just resting. And then can you start to do the same thing with this other organisation of pushing out with your low belly? Yeah? And use your hands, use your fingers, really palpate these muscles, come to sense, to feel the action of the muscles as your low belly pushes out and down, pushing the air out through your nose. That's it. And keep pushing out and out and out. That's it. And again, maybe one side of these low belly muscles are working a little bit more effectively or a bit more powerfully, a bit more efficiently if they're just coming in a little bit more on one side than the other side. The side closest to the floor or the side away from the floor. So keeping that out breath going out and out and out. Not worrying about your in-breath, letting that simply happen, simply take care of itself. Have another rest on your side if you're comfortable there. And then we're going to alternate between those two ways of pushing your breath out. So breathing out once by pulling in your upper belly, and the next time by pushing out your lower belly. So it's like a little like a seesaw, but each time you're breathing out. You breathe out on the pulling in, you breathe out on the pushing out, and just keep that out breath coming through your nose. That's it. So you don't need any time for your inhalation. And then start to soften that. Just go a little softer, a little gentler. So you're still alternating these two different organizations of pushing air out, but go a little softer, a little gentler. And see what changes when you go softly. You still sense that these muscles can engage, can be active, can still be part of this exhalation. And then let that go. Roll onto your back again. And when you come onto your back, is there any difference? You notice anything between the right side and the left side? What's your sense through the whole of the right side, the whole of the left side? In the way that you're resting on the floor, the space that you take up, the way the air comes in and out, the movement of your belly and the ribs. How long is your in-breath and how long is your out-breath? And then roll onto your other side. And we're going to do a similar exploration on this side. So have the idea that you're just going to be a little bit more flex. We've just done all this flexion and extension stuff. So bring your head a little forwards, resting on your hand. So the elbow is in front of you, your underneath elbow, your head's resting on your hand if that's comfortable, and your head's just bent forwards a little bit. And your knees are up a little bit more. So you're just in a slightly more flex position than you might normally go into on your side. You're rounded through your trunk. And on this side, start to explore these two different ways of pushing your breath out. A few times, breathe out by pulling in your upper belly, feeling how your ribs expand as you do that. You can have your hand there, feeling the tonus of your muscles on the right side and on the left side as you do that. What's different? These short, quick breaths as these muscles push, pull. That's it. And then feel the other way, this rounding out, this pushing out of your lower belly. And feel with your fingers each side, compare each side. So one time push out, have your fingers feeling the right side, and the other time push out, feeling your fingers, feeling the left side. So you can really sense whether there's a different way of organising these muscles when you're on your side. As you're pushing your belly forwards and down. And feeling the response in your ribs. This downwards, inwards movement of your ribs as you're pushing your belly out. and then start to alternate. So once push outwards with your low belly, and the next time pull inwards with your upper belly. Use your hands for feedback if that helps you. So each time you're pushing out, you're breathing out. You've got this out breath from your belly pushing out. You've got an out breath from your belly pulling in. Two different parts of your belly, two different directions, but you're breathing out each time. Out, 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 out. And each time, it's a different organisation. Your diaphragm is being pushed up in a different way. Then start to slow it down, soften it out, go gentler, and see if this sense of activation, of action, of these two different parts of your abdominals in two different directions. It's a really different organisation. But each of those makes it possible to breathe out. Which one feels more efficient? Which one feels more familiar? And then let it go. Roll onto your back. Have a rest. Let your legs down if that's comfortable. And see, notice, observe, pay attention to what's going on, what's changed, if anything. And as you come back to this more familiar way of breathing, at rest, sense what happens differently in the movement of your belly as you breathe in and out, of your ribs as you breathe in and out. And see if the timing of your in-breath and your out-breath is changing at all. Is there anything new there for you? So bend your knees up again with your feet standing. And just find this way of breathing out. Just back on you in this position again. Just a couple of times, push your belly out to breathe out. See if that is any different from before, if it's any clearer. As your belly pushes out, I haven't even mentioned pelvic floor, which of course is, just notice what happens there. Can you maintain some activity in your pelvic floor so that as you push out, you're not letting go completely, you're not tightening, you just have that. That's it. That support. And then the other way, pulling in with your upper belly on the out breath. And then just rest for a moment in this position. And start to, as you're breathing out now, can you start to let some voice come with that? So you can start to you can hum through your nose. So instead of just a breath, you can have a yeah? And listen to the sound of your voice. So listen to your own voice as you do it. So try it with this, with the pulling in of your upper belly. Yeah? So that's it. How clear is it to you? How loud? That's it. And can you keep that going without worrying about how you're going to get enough breath to do the next one? That's it. Great. And then let that go for a sec. And then try the other way. So this way of pushing your belly out, rounding your lower belly, pushing it out and round, all the way around. And as you is there any difference? Can you hear any difference? Is there any difference in the quality of that? And you could start to do it through an open mouth if you like. You're still breathing out. We've done all of this through your nose. What about if you go ha, ha, ha? That's it. And experiment between the two different ways. That's it. Good to hear lots of noise. So breathing out with the low belly pushing out and out with your upper belly pulling in. And what's the difference? Could you alternate? Great. Okay, have a little rest. Beautiful. That's right, we haven't finished. It's the sort of thing you might not do for a first lesson, in a series. Once you know each other, you don't need to worry. That's it. Again, notice your breathing as you're resting. The ease. And how easy is it for your breath to come in? How easy is it for your breath to come out? Does it feel somehow more uniform, more like all of you is helping with both of those parts of your breathing? So bend your knees up again. Stand your feet. And this time, we're going to use your voice again. So if you do, instead of these short, sharp, strong out breaths, how would it be to do a long out breath that would carry your voice with it? So you can do a ha and just feel how that is with these two different organisations. Doesn't need to sound like beautiful singing, just like a voice, just that you can hear your voice, and as you pull in with your upper belly or you push out with your lower belly, what's the difference? That's it. So does one feel like it can carry your voice, sustain your voice a little more efficiently than the other one? Is it the pulling in of your upper belly? Is it the pushing out of your lower belly? Don't overwork. Sorry, someone's just gone into cramp, I think. So could we have a vote? Who feels like their voice is clearer, better, easier to sustain by pulling in the upper belly? Yeah, a few. And what about the other way, pushing out your lower belly? Okay. So I'd say the lower bellies have it. So just have a go back and explore again and just do. So it can be, just think of it as a voice. So if you were, that's it. And see how your low belly can push out to sustain that breath, that voice, the quality of your voice, the clarity. And then try, once you've done one, try the other. And this is something that you can keep playing around with. This is an interesting thing to kind of explore yourself. So let it go. Let it go. Rest on your back. Feel, sense your breathing. And what do you notice about yourself on the floor? About the ease of your breathing? About the length of your in-breath, the length of your out-breath? And then can you roll to your side and come up to standing? And what do you notice about yourself here? What feels different? How solid are you on the ground? How do you feel the middle of yourself? Are you heavier or lighter? How's your breath coming in and out now? What changes when you come up to this position? And start to walk around. So you feel how this might have made some kind of change that might be related to your movement, walking, balance, as well as your breathing and your singing and your talking. And as you're walking around, if you've had time to sense yourself, can you say hello to the person that you're looking at as you're walking along? Maybe say more than hello. Maybe say hello. And notice how you say that. How long can you make your hello? And how? And does your belly do anything to help you to say hello? So can you walk and talk and breathe at the same time? All right. So, and since we've done this right at the end of the day, this is something that I think would be really fun to experiment with. Maybe not on the train, play the didgeridoo, yes. But if you're in the car, you can have a little sing, you can see how long you can make a noise for. If you're, when you get home, see what it's like. Just experiment with this. And maybe if you're doing an ATM tomorrow, you could, when you're practicing tonight, just feel how this might help you with your voice or with anything else. Okay. And your voice will sound so beautiful, they won't be able to resist.